Hello, and welcome to our first Nintendo Switch review. And what better way to start than with a Pokemon game that welcomes players new and old. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are essentially remakes of Red, Blue and Yellow from 20 years ago, but they mix in a few nice modern mechanics that make the games very accessible and enjoyable for today's generation of gamers. I'm not going to talk too much about the story of the game in this review, but I will give some backstory. The game starts with the player being able to choose whether they are a boy or a girl, and then you meet your childhood friend and rival on your way to getting your first Pokemon from the local professor, Professor Oak. You get the Pokemon and begin your journey to learn more about these creatures, battle gym leaders to earn their badges, and earn your right to enter and overcome the greatest challenge in the region, the Elite Four. As a veteran of Pokemon games, the changes that Let's Go makes are quite welcomed for me. Following Pokemon Go's success, the Let's Go series has done away with random encounters entirely. Now the Pokemon will appear on the map, and you can choose whether or not you would like to run into them. When you do get into an encounter with wild Pokemon, you no longer need to battle them. Instead, you may simply fling Pokeballs at them in an attempt to catch them. Upon catching the Pokemon, your entire party will gain experience for the capture based on a few factors when throwing the ball, such as only throwing one ball and technique, in addition to an aiming bonus, which works by throwing the ball within the target zone, with a bigger bonus being awarded the smaller the target zone is. As the game goes on, the Pokemon get stronger and harder to catch, and at this point you can use berries to calm Pokemon and use stronger Pokeballs to increase the likelihood that the Pokemon will be caught. Now that catching Pokemon gains you experience instead of battling them, you're going to have a surplus of Pokemon in your storage. Just as you can in Pokemon Go, you may send these extras that you don't want to keep back to Professor Oak, who will reward you with stat increasing candies that you can use on the Pokemon you do want to keep. Another great feature that's new to this game is that extra Pokemon that are captured are stored in your Pokemon box, which is kept on your person. In the older games, you are only able to manage the Pokemon box from a computer in the Pokemon Center. It means that swapping out party members is easy, as well as making sending back those extras that you catch a painless task too. This new capture mechanic made many fans, myself included, very wary. Even watching the gameplay in the background, it might not look like great fun. But, even though I didn't connect with Pokemon Go, the new encounter system is very refreshing. It's a lot of fun to play, and allows the player to get right into the good stuff and get away from the grind that the old games are known for. This doesn't mean that combat is gone by any means. Combat is still a large part of the game. Apologies to those that are familiar with Pokemon games, but we're going to do a really quick recap of how combat works. When another Pokemon trainer is encountered, combat will start. Combat is turn-based, with both trainers choosing a move for their Pokemon, and then the turn resolving. Pokemon with the highest speed stat will go first, and then the other will go next. There are a bunch of status effects and moves that have type bonuses that might be super effective or not effective depending on the Pokemon type that they're up against. Pokemon also gain experience for battling and will gain stats for leveling up just as they always have. Pokemon can learn new moves through a variety of means, such as leveling up, evolving, or by using an item in-game known as a technical machine, or TM for short. In the original games, TMs were single-use, but are now multi-use, giving the player far more freedom to use them liberally, which is also a nice change. Pokemon can learn tens of moves, but only allowing 4 at a time means that the move system remains varied, but never becomes overwhelming. The player can have up to 6 Pokemon in a party, and with 4 moves each, it provides a lot of strategic options for the combat. With this in mind, the Let's Go pair are not hard games. I've found that if you have even a basic knowledge of type matchups, even if your Pokemon is the same level as the gym leaders, you can generally take them out in 2 hits, making most battles a breeze. As a result, I've started swapping out my party members so as to prevent over-leveling. This has no penalty in game, but I would prefer to have some challenge whilst playing, so this is more of a self-imposed habit to keep things interesting for me. Nintendo have marketed the Let's Go games as accessible games that anyone can play, with the back of the box even saying, a first Pokemon adventure for everyone. I feel the difficulty choice and ease of overleveling is a choice Nintendo made to ensure younger and less skilled players are able to get through the game without too much difficulty. With the trainer combat and random encounters covered, exploring the world of Let's Go is a joy to experience. The recent 3DS versions of Pokemon have all looked nice, but this is the best looking Pokemon game that's been released to date, thanks to the high-def resolution and well-modelled Pokemon and environments. The visuals alone make up for a lot of the experience, but the world also feels alive thanks to your buddy Pokemon that follows you around whilst you explore. When they see something of interest, they will run up to it and stare, and if you interact with the buddy, you will get some flavor text about how the Pokemon is enjoying the scenery. In addition to that, the partner Pokemon that you have out, as well as the wild Pokemon that you encounter in the field, are at least somewhat to scale, meaning that truly massive Pokemon will take up a large amount of space on screen, and you'll be able to ride some of the larger ones around instead of them trailing behind you. Small details like these add a lot to the overall feel of the game, and it adds some extra personality to the Pokemon that keep you company. As Let's Go has been released exclusively for the Switch, it provides you with a range of controller options. The player may use a single Joy-Con to control the game, or use the console in handheld mode. In addition to this, there is an optional Pokeball controller accessory that can be used to play the game too. The Pokeball controller has a joystick where the Pokeball button should be, which can be clicked to press a button, and there is also a cancel button on top of the ball, which opens the menu. The Pokeball works well enough for playing, but due to the button being on the control stick, sometimes when you are trying to interact with an object, you might tilt the control stick a little accidentally, causing you to move, and either hit a different option, or not interact with anything at all. In addition to this small complaint, the control only has 2 buttons, and sometimes there is a third option in-game bound to the Y button. This generally performs an action such as opening the options menu when paused, which can be done on the Pokeball by shaking it, but the game does not provide any instruction for this action. And strangely enough, when in battle, the game provides a Y prompt to view move details, but shaking the Pokeball does not work for this particular action. Without instruction, it's possible that many players will go through the entire game without knowing that you can complete these actions with the Pokeball at all. Even though I was using the Pokeball when I first started the game, all instructions were displayed as though I were using the Joy-Con, which would not be inviting for a less experienced player. And although it is easy enough to figure out the controls on the ball, it would be good to see tooltips for the specific control method. I'm hoping that a post-launch patch might iron out these issues, providing for a more polished and enjoyable experience when using the Pokeball. Although the ball does have its drawbacks, it also has some really nice features. When catching a Pokemon, for example, the Pokeball vibrates and the center ring lights up with every ball wobble in time with how it appears on the screen. And when a Pokemon is caught, the Pokemon's cry can be heard coming from the ball. The Pokeball also allows you to take a Pokemon with you when turning off the game. From the save menu, you are able to choose a Pokemon to place into the ball, and that Pokemon will gain experience and happiness just by being carried around. But you can also press and hold the ball to wake the Pokemon, which lights the center ring in a colour that fits the Pokemon selected, and then you can shake the ball to play with them. These are really nice little additions that as adults both my colleagues and myself appreciated, and I can imagine that a younger player would get even more enjoyment out of them than we do. The Let's Go games also have local co-op, where another player is able to drop into the game simply by shaking another valid controller that is connected to the console. This player will be able to run around the map, help catch Pokemon and participate in battles the same as the main player. However, the second player can't interact with non-player characters, they aren't able to initiate random Pokemon encounters, nor can they start a trainer battle. The second player can assist the main player by throwing Pokeballs to help catch Pokemon, with either player's Pokeball able to catch the Pokemon, but if both players throw their ball at the same time, the Pokemon is more likely to be captured, as the Pokeballs join together to make a stronger ball. In trainer battles, the second player uses a second Pokemon in the party. This means that most battles will be played 2-on-1, which gives the primary player an advantage with no downside. This second player can be added or removed at any time just by shaking the controller that they're playing with. I feel like this is the perfect opportunity for the primary player to play with a younger or less experienced player without hindering the game experience by triggering lots of encounters or endlessly running in and out of doors preventing progress. In summary, the Pokemon Let's Go games are a joy to play. Whilst more casual than previous games in the series, these games are definitely worth playing whether or not you enjoy Pokemon Go. The visuals, sound design, combat and pace make for an enjoyable and family-friendly experience that will entertain for hours on end. I hope you enjoyed this review. Let me know what your Poké Dream Team would be in the comments below.